I'm going to examine some areas of law that people have asked me about, but I don't think are really thriving in Ontario. One is oil and gas. I've had people ask me about oil and gas law, marine law, and I haven't really heard a lot about this area of law in Ontario.
Some of them say not drive your direction. Them a move with them direction. When I stand, we I stand with the holy armor. Green, white, green, and the holy armor. That's my direction. Them I sleep at the same direction.
Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Ask Mo. My name is Mo and I am a lawyer licensed to practice law in the province of Ontario and also in Nigeria. I create content for internationally trained lawyers who are looking to requalify in Canada, for graduate students, and also for people who are looking to settle down and succeed in Canada. Please note that whatever I say in this video is not legal advice. In today's video, we are going to be talking about money. So we're going to be talking about the highest paid lawyers in Canada, or what type of lawyers earn the most amount of money in Canada. Now, for some reason, about 4 or 5 people have reached out to me to ask me, what areas of law are doing well in Ontario or in Canada, or what lawyers earn the most amount of money in Canada. And while I'm of the opinion that you should practice the area of law you're interested in, not necessarily because, it brings the most amount of money, but it's always good to pursue your passion. While that is my opinion, I also understand that a lot of the internationally trained lawyers who are coming here to requalify are practically dropping everything they have. Some of them have built a career in their home country, some of them have practiced for a long time, and they're practically dropping everything and moving to Canada to requalify, and that can't be easy sometimes. And I believe that some of them want to know what areas of law are thriving in Canada so they can get into that area of law. For example, let's say you are interested in oil and gas law and you come to Ontario. I don't think that's a wise move. It's wiser to go to a province like Alberta. Now, because I'm called to the Ontario bar and I'm more familiar with how things work in Ontario, I will be talking about Ontario today. And the first one I'll talk about is civil litigation or personal injury law. Now, I'm a municipal lawyer and some of the work that I do is related to personal injury and civil litigation. And the truth is, people sue a lot in Canada. I don't know if it's as much as the US, but here in Canada, people sue. People sue in Ontario. And so there's a market for personal injury law. So if you are a personal injury lawyer, or if you're looking for an area of law that thrives in Ontario, personal injury is one that does very well. And the good thing about personal injury law is that you have the ability, as the plaintiff, you have the ability to take advantage of contingency fee. Another area of law that thrives in Ontario is immigration law, and I'm sure by now most of you know this. I googled, the amount of people that immigrate to Canada, and according to Wikipedia, in 2019, Canada admitted about 341,000 people, and this does not include the amount of international students that also immigrated to Canada to study. So Canada is hot cake right now. Everyone is talking about Canada. Canada is on the lip of everyone, and immigration law is an area of law that thrives in Ontario. I have people asking me almost every day to refer them to an immigration lawyer or an immigration consultant because they would like to immigrate to Canada. So if you're looking for an area of law that thrives in Ontario, immigration law is an area of law you should definitely keep your eye on. Another area of law that is definitely thriving in Ontario, and actually thriving in Canada, is real estate law. Now, for me, I found real estate law very boring. No offense to the real estate lawyers out there. I just found that it was a lot of paperwork, because when I articled, I did one of my rotation in real estate law, and I have a knowledge of what real estate law is all about. I found it a bit boring and a bit monotonous, because for me it was just me doing the same thing over and over again. But for civil, I like civil because it's a mix of both. There's a lot of paperwork involved in civil as well, but you get to go to court. So I find that it's a good balance for me. But back to real estate law. Real estate law is another thriving area of law because people are immigrating, to Canada. They want to buy houses. They want to own properties. People want to own rental properties, residential properties, new homes. So people are buying properties and they need real estate lawyers. So real estate is another area of law that is thriving. Another thriving area of law in Ontario is corporate law. Now, corporate law is a good one because we have a lot of startup companies and a lot of big companies, especially in Ontario. There are a lot of startup companies that need help with incorporation and a lot of other business related things. So I think corporate law is another good area of law that you should keep an eye on. The next area of law you should definitely keep an eye on is family law. Family law is another big one. Fortunately, a lot of families are separating, people are getting divorced, and these people need family lawyers to help them with their divorce application, to help them with child custody, spousal support, and several other applications that are involved. Family law is another thriving area of law in Ontario, and I think you should keep an eye on it. Another area of law that I'm going to talk about that isn't very popular, but lawyers in this area are in hot demand, is labor and employment law. Now, I did one of my rotations under labor and employment law, and I sincerely enjoyed that rotation. You assist HR with a lot of things, human resources, you review a lot of collective agreements, you do a lot of arbitration hearings, you also do a lot of human rights tribunal hearings as well. And I find that it's a good mix of, just different things together, and it's also very interesting. The employer-employee relationship is one that is not going away anytime soon. Obviously, you have companies and you have other employers who need employees to work for them, and you find that in this relationship there might be some form of friction or some form of issues sometimes, and that is where the labor and employment lawyer comes in. So as a labor and employment lawyer, you can either work for the employer or work for the employee. So you can either defend either the employer or the employee. And employment lawyers also do some form of wrongful termination work or wrongful dismissal work. It just depends on whose side you're on, because as a labor and employment lawyer, you can either work for the employer or work for the employee. Anyways, labor and employment law is another area of law that is in hot demand in Ontario. Another area of law that is thriving in Ontario, or that I think is necessary, is criminal law. Yes, criminal law. I don't know if this is popular, but people commit crimes every day. Let's face it, people commit crimes every day, and criminal lawyers are in demand. So as a criminal lawyer, you can either be for the defendant or the accused, or you can be a prosecutor, or you can be a crown attorney. I am a prosecutor for the City of London, and you can prosecute quasi-criminal offenses. So these are non-criminal offenses, but they have a penalty attached to them. So I was out here prosecuting bylaw offenses and other quasi-criminal offenses. Being a prosecutor for the City of London is absolutely different from being a crown attorney. As a crown attorney, you actually get to prosecute criminal offenses, which I think is so cool. But yeah, it's different. So it depends on which side you're on. Like I said, either you're for the defendant or you're a crown attorney. But criminal law is a thriving area in Ontario. Another area of law that I think is also in demand in Ontario is mental health law. I know a little about mental health law because I worked as a legal assistant for a lawyer who does mental health law. So as a mental health lawyer, you provide advice and assistance on the rights of detained patients before the Ontario Consent and Capacity Board. Now, I know they do more things than what I've just explained. If you're interested in mental health law, you can definitely look it up. There are a lot of information and resources online, but I know that mental health law is another area of law that is thriving in Ontario. Now, another area of law that I think is thriving in Ontario is municipal law. Now, several people might not share this opinion with me, or some people might think I'm being biased because I'm a municipal lawyer, but I don't think that's true. There are several municipalities in Ontario. There are upper tier municipalities, there are single tier municipalities. Municipalities will always need lawyers. So as a municipal lawyer, you are doing several things. You're doing so many different things. And I think that's what I just love about the type of work that I do. When I articled, I had the opportunity of going around different rotations to real estate law. I did prosecution at the Provincial Offences Court. I did labor and employment law. I did civil litigation. I did contracts. I did legal drafting and bylaw. I did planning law. Also, as a municipal lawyer, you have to be knowledgeable about planning law. And I know that this isn't a very interesting area of law, but it is what it is. There are a lot of planning stuff you have to get into as a municipal lawyer. But I just like the mix of different things. You're also a lawyer to different service areas in the municipality. So it's very interesting. And I believe that municipalities will always require lawyers, and there will always be municipalities in the province of Ontario. Now I'm going to examine some areas of law that people have asked me about, but I don't think are really thriving from my experience. Remember, this is my experience. I don't think they're really thriving in Ontario. One is oil and gas. I've had people ask me about oil and gas law, marine law, and I haven't really heard a lot about this area of law in Ontario. I know I have looked into it, I've googled it, and I think Alberta is a province that specify in that area of law. Another one is entertainment law, and I really loved entertainment law. In fact, I took a course on entertainment law at U of T. I remember I was on the wait list and I was praying, God, please let someone just drop off this wait list so I can get into this class. And I got into the class, I did the class. I think his spouse was an actress at the time in Hollywood or something. Anyways, the class was very interesting, but at the end of the day I had to sit down and ask myself, do you really want to practice entertainment law? Is there really a market for entertainment law in Ontario? And my answer was no. I think there's a market for entertainment law in the US, but not that big of a market in Ontario. We have now come to the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and instead of trying to figure out who are the highest paid lawyers in Canada or which lawyers earn the most amount of money, I think a better strategy would be what areas of law are thriving in Ontario, what areas of law are doing very well in Ontario, so I can try to limit my practice, or so I can try to get into these areas of law. I think that's a better way to answer this question. I think that's a better way to answer this question. And a good